world language teachers, and then they would be part of the language program, language tables. And teachers really like that and meeting the new scholars each year, but they also, I had to somehow talk a little bit about the program, and I found myself one year completely diving into the archives and looking more and more, and then I realized I just don't have the time to do all the research, and so it lingered in me for many years to think about the program and what it was like before, when did it all start, and last year I just decided I would do this with students and pull in students who were eager to do the work with me. And thankfully, we have two girls who are with me here, right? Who are the best helpers, and you have done so much research already on it that we will hopefully produce a nice book that captures their stories, their journeys, and their reflections, looking back even, because a lot of them are alums already. And also to perhaps create a film that we hear more voices of faculty, staff, and students who have been involved in the Kemper Scholar program and made an impact on those students.
And what would you say that stands out for you of this research that we have started? Something that surprised you, you didn't expect? Or?
A number of things, but to my biggest surprise, did we learn that there were students for a number of years in the 90s. First of all, we had more Kemper Scholars, but also students coming from other countries, and basically the one-year international seniors and PGs were all lumped into this Kemper Scholar program, which they were surprised also when we approached them. And we now know of a number of them. We don't have exact numbers, so for me it's really exciting to get to more facts, get more closure on the many questions I have, and I know the two of you have, and finding those and compiling that all in one document, in one book that we can then share, because we know now that there is a lot of interest and excitement around this project. And our dream to host an alumni event with Kemper Scholars in Europe is born this year out of this project, out of the good work we have done together, and hopefully we will put this into fruition.
Very nice. And do you remember specific anecdotes regarding maybe some group of campers, or funny things that happened some years involving the campers?
Yes, that's so. You mean just among the campers, or
among the campers?
Because they are always part of campers are always part of the group of 10 up to 15, 16 one-year seniors I've had. So they are a unit within a larger group. There are many stories I remember. Without naming them, they will find themselves if they ever hear me talk about them. I remember one of the Kemper Scholars, I was so excited. He was a twin, and he has a twin sister, and when he came, his twin sister was also in the United States at a public school in the Midwest, and she had it a lot harder than him in one regard, not really adjusting as well. He loved it here, but he struggled a lot, especially in English class, where he just worked extremely hard and the grades just didn't get better, but he was always out there for his personal growth and for giving his best, and confident that one day it would show. And sure enough, in spring term we celebrated almost near high honor roll, near the top. And that was wonderful to follow him along. And anytime I ask him, because he was from Germany, I ask him, shouldn't the Kemper Scholars from Germany also be postgraduates, so they have a little bit more academics coming here? And he kept saying, no, we can do this. And that was a wonderful experience. I remember another student from France who just was wonderful to work with. He was one of, I think, the only one who got himself in his first term on the International Club Board, and he was selected new student representative, and he came in and he set his mark on the international club. He started the Andover Kemper Facebook page, which is still alive today, and with his friend from Spain, Kemper friend from Spain, they made it alive during the school year, and they are still on it. And he also was a competitive swimmer on the swim team, and it was wonderful to see him compete, offer technology to the international club that really hadn't used that to that extent before, and also set for communication module for the international students during the summer for the incoming students. So I will always remember him for this and for his kindness and what he brought to this school. Then there are many others I will have to think. I remember of one student who, and we heard that story from Dr. Vidal, did not want to write a personal essay in fall term, it was mid-fall term, I believe. And she said, no, I'm homesick and I will not do this. I cannot write this personal essay about my experience. I don't know, you have to help me what the topic was, but you do that every year.
Yeah.
So she revolted, and she was very clear on not doing it. I remember, this is very moving, I remember one Kemper scholar from Spain a few years ago, and one of her very close friends in my advising group was a student from Syria. And the student from Syria struggled quite a lot with war at home. And she lost a number of friends while we just went on about our own business here, trying to keep up with the pace and the workload. She sometimes couldn't do class. And this girl would leave the classroom, sometimes abruptly, because she was, for whatever reason, reminded of something at home. It was the Spanish Kemper scholar who would always be by her side. And when I got calls from the teacher alerting me, or an email, our student from Syria left the class, do you know where she is? I always knew she was in good hands. She would end up in my office, but she was always accompanied by her friend, Kemper friend from Spain.
And do you know what is she doing now?
The student from Syria?
Pursue like a degree or?
Yes, actually this student, and many of us will remember her who have taught her, who have been involved in her life. She actually had US citizenship, and when I reminded her of this wonderful privilege she had coming here directly from Syria, she did not want to accept that. She kept telling me, I'm Syrian first. And she ended up not going to college following her year here at Andover, and went back home. I think family mattered to her. Her parents were important to her. And she also wanted to be very independent in college. And I did not hear from her till last year when you came here. And remember, I read to you a few sentences, and that was the student who had not emailed me, not gotten in touch with me, because, as she said, she had nothing good to say, and she had really hit rock bottom back in Syria until the day she found from a note on Facebook, scholarships for Syrian girls, and she applied. She got a scholarship, a very prestigious scholarship, and she's now at a school in Montreal, in a college, and got a full scholarship, and is very happy. And that's what did she share with me to pass on to all students. Remember, your time is precious at Andover. Time flies by. Make the best out of it. And I know the two of you did.
And then we know that the community at Andover is truly diverse. For example, as you told us before, next year there will be a girl from Somaliland, which is like not a very, let's say, popular country. It's a newborn country. And do you remember other students coming from like less known places where usually it's like students don't really come from in American boarding schools or colleges?
Yes, that's truly a heroic effort from the admission office that they find us students like that. And you had one student in your advising group, our student from Afghanistan, and having students with particular profiles like this student from Syria, from Afghanistan, and now our student coming in from Somaliland. They have very different backgrounds and experiences, and their cultural adjustment certainly is very different than the typical student who has even traveled to the United States before coming to Andover. And that means usually finding out where they're at, knowing, understanding their needs, and doing a lot of that kind of background search and face-to-face Skype calls, phone calls, emails, before they even step on campus. And obviously I'm usually involved with the visa related matters, and that is quite an undertaking to say the least, and every case is different. So I have learned a lot through those students, and they have taught me a ton of what it means to grow up in a place that is not like US, that doesn't have the same cultural setting and freedom that we do take for granted here.
And what would you say that, imagine in 20 years you look back, what would you say is the most special thing or